gay behavior.
Oh my God, I woke up late. Had another show planned with my homie, the Prince of Petty. My fault, I dropped the ball. Whew. Well, welcome to Risky Behavior, the podcast where we explore the fascinating and often perplexing world of human actions. Why do we engage in risky behavior? From the complexities of love and relationships to the nuances of religion, politics, and even crime, we'll delve into the choices we make and what drives us. Now, I don't label people as good or bad. Instead, I focus on the behaviors that can lead us down a risky path. Join me as we uncover the motivations behind our actions and examine the intriguing aspects of human nature. Let's get started. Woo, woo, woo. Today's title is Trans Women versus Women in Sports. I'm going to be reacting to a video. If I can get my screen right. So
We're gonna have
I'm gonna be reacting to a video by Peter Buckhausen. I hope I'm saying his last name right. You can look him up on YouTube. Peter, and his last name is spelled Boghossin. Now, he conducted I guess an experiment, and it reads as follows. This is what he wrote. He says, in early May, my team explored the following claim with students. Trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. After about 25 minutes of discussion, one student asked, what's the goal of this? The idea of examining beliefs seemed utterly foreign to her. Universities have a responsibility to provide students with tools to think through claims and exchange and fruitful inquiry. They are failing. Although students were aware we were filming this conversation, we blurred some of their faces in the video for their privacy, and we will not release the name of the university. So he's up at a college campus, and he wants to discuss should trans women participate in women's sports. And the way he did this experiment, it was genius. He kind of made it like a little game. And I thought it was interesting. The reason I'm doing it is because I always just talk about not having conversations with dishonest people and people's inability to communicate with each other. Even if you're not being disrespectful and you just simply want to have a discussion because you're just curious about, hey, let's discuss this. What's going on? How do we feel about this? You'll notice that some people are incapable of doing this. And this experiment that he was doing, it was going good. And then you start to realize that some people just couldn't handle it. So let me go ahead and get this started. Versus doing too much explaining, right? Because you can just watch it.
have a conversation about trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. Anybody have an opinion about that? I have a feeling this is too controversial for people, so we might have to change the claim. But somebody must want to have an honest conversation about this. Do you think trans women should be able to compete in women's sports? Too controversial, even for you, son. This alone is interesting to me. Nobody will have a conversation about this. Interesting. I'll give someone else the mic and let them question me about this claim. Trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. You want to have that conversation? Nope, too scared. Okay. You want to have that conversation? Nope, too scared. Too scared. Okay. Anybody, trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. Be terrifying. Trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. Anybody have it? You have an opinion? Awesome. Stand on the neutral line right there. So the game has only two rules. We can do it with one. Oh, we got two people. Oh, we got three people. All right. Well, I was wrong. I didn't think it would come. Okay, stand on neutral. Okay. So this is a very simple game. We have a few rules. The first rule is you can't stand in between the line.
Okay.
Very straightforward.
Got it.
The second rule is you can't move until I say move. And the reason for that is because we don't want anybody's opinion to affect anybody else's opinion. Exactly. Precisely. Now let me go over this. Strongly agree, agree, slightly agree, neutral, slightly disagree, disagree, strongly disagree. So I'm going to ask this question and count back to 5, and don't move until I get to go and stand on a line. It could not possibly be any simpler, but you'd be astonished how many people do not pay attention to the rules.
College.
Trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, we've got 1 disagree, 1 strongly agree. You're on the line. Okay, tell us why you agree.
I agree because trans women should be able to compete in women's sports because they are competing underneath their identity that they very solidly align with, and to deprive them of that is to kind of say that their identity is not acceptable in society.
In society
Or
or
like in sports, that
in
they're not
sports.
valid. Their identity is not validated.
okay.
It sounds like she was coached to give that answer. That sounds like something she's actually just reading off somebody's website. I thought it was interesting when it first started that one side, if they did, it's the disagreeable side is always like painted as the bad side. Oh, y'all don't want us to have rights, right? But if you notice, I found it weird. I found it interesting that the side that disagreed, they didn't go to an extreme. They just went over one line, meaning that they're still willing to hear, still willing to listen. But the side that does believe that trans women should participate, they went all the way over to the last line, the extreme side, indicating that they may be unwilling to even have the conversation or be swayed.
Do you agree with what she said?
Yes, but that's not specifically why I agree that trans women should be able to compete in sports.
Okay. Why do you think?
I believe trans women should be able to compete in sports because there's specific criterion that trans women have to meet in order to be able to compete under the woman category.
In which sports?
I'm not an expert on all sports.
I'm not an expert either.
But I do know for at least the Olympics, there are requirements for trans women because when trans women go on when trans women go on hormones, testosterone drops in them. So a lot of the natural advantages they might have being born in a man's body are depleted, like the extra strength testosterone gives you and so on and so forth. So they have to be below a certain testosterone level. They have to be on estrogen for a certain amount of time. And even the rule where you have to be below a certain testosterone percentages have stopped cis women from competing in sports. So they're very like hard set rules. There's no
Cis woman meaning what?
cis woman. Women who are born as women.
Women who were born as women. Okay.
Cis women, yes. Cisgendered is when you're born in the correct sex. So like I was born a woman, I identify as a woman still, I'm cis. If I were to identify as non-binary or anything else, I would not be cis. How are you gonna ask this question and not know what cis means?
Well, cis isn't in the question, and what
Well,
cis
yeah,
might
but,
mean
like-
to you, that doesn't mean that people
Well, no,
watching
but,
this are
like,
going to know what
things
cis
are-
means.
Things are a definition. Things mean things. Cisgender means one thing. That's just a
Is it
term.
possible that some people could define or perceive the word women to be different?
Well, I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about the term cisgender.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we define our terms. That's why I wanted to define it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's unfair enough for me to ask you to define it?
No, I just don't. It sounded like you didn't know what cisgender was, and I was just wondering if you didn't know that was why you thought you should ask that question.
Oh no, I'll tell you why later. But I'm a legitimate gender studies scholar.
Oh, perfect then.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I don't mean to brag, but I've really outpublished almost anyone in the world in gender studies.
You do need to back a little bit. That is impressive.
Thank you. I'll show you my body of literature later. But for now, trans women should be able to compete in women's sports. What do you think about that?
I do not think they should be able to do that.
Okay. Did anything that they say persuade you? Think about that for a second, but tell us why.
I just think the biological makeup of a man is not the same as a woman, whether they take hormones or not, especially if they've been competing in that sport for years. They did it originally as a man or woman, and then they switched to female, which I played a female sport growing up.
What did you play?
Lacrosse, which is very different.
That's the
from,
one with the thing, the
with the
net,
stick,
with the,
yeah.
like that.
which is very different from male lacrosse. So I just think that it comes down to the biological makeup of like the training used for it and everything. But I agree with a lot of the stuff that they say. I'm not like they shouldn't do it, but I just think it should be.
So you think, and I just want to make sure I get your argument right, you think that they shouldn't do it because it confers an unfair advantage on the person, even if they've met their hormone requirements, because as a biological male ages before they transition, they have certain intrinsic advantages. Height, for example, maybe in basketball. Or now that doesn't mean all men are tall, but on a Gaussian curve, it means that more men are tall than women.
Yeah.
So is that, I don't want to mischaracterize. Is that,
Yes, that's what I mean.
did that persuade you?
I would say no, because we have talked about like the hormones and like the genetic makeup of a male body versus a female body, but there are changes that can happen whenever someone starts to transition that can affect their muscle density, just like their overall genetic makeup. Well, not their genetic makeup, but like their hormones and just how their body functions. So I don't know if that is like completely valid in arguing this.
What if I could provide you with evidence that even with the hormone replacement therapy, that still conferred an advantage on people born as men?
That it wouldn't give them
It would, even if they underwent hormone therapy,
then there-
it still was an advantage for the trans woman to participate in sports. Would you then be for it or against it?
I would be open to revising my opinion if there's evidence presented on that.
So you would be open to revising, and would you be open to revising your opinion to go to the agree or the slightly agree?
Slightly agree, but I don't think I would go any farther than that.
Okay. Okay. So the thing that's keeping you must be some identity factor.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that in a second. So just to be clear, I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you were to be shown evidence to your satisfaction that people born as male who transition, who met the requirements of whatever lacrosse or
still have an
what-
unfair advantage.
yeah, if you were to be shown that they would still have an unfair advantage, you would be willing to move one, possibly two, but not three. Is that what you said? Is
Yeah.
that fair to
Yeah,
say?
that's fair.
Okay, if you were to be shown that advantage, would you move?
Probably not.
Okay, what would it take for you to move?
Nothing, probably. I feel pretty strongly about this. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if you were to show me proof that people born as men who transition as women still have an unfair advantage, I would believe that full-heartedly. I wouldn't like try to dispute that if I saw like the facts behind that.
Yeah.
However, sports inherently have genetic advantaged players, like Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps.
Oh, with the yeah.
He didn't produce like lactic acid. He had an abnormally large wingspan. He had like webbed toes and webbed feet. No one stopped him from competing. That's an unfair genetic advantage. Genetic advantages until it's someone transitioning from a man to a woman or a woman to a man.
I have to call you. I have to push back on that. I have personally never heard anybody concerned about people transitioning to a man competing in men and men's sports. Have you?
No, that's also another problem. Why are we still focused on trans women and not trans men as well?
Well,
We
I
think
think-
women's
I
weaker, and
think-
it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah,
It should be-
that's why.
It should be but that's what I'm saying. No one really cares about it being an unfair advantage, or we wouldn't like basketball, for instance.
Yeah.
If you're tall and height, you could still make it to the NBA if you're above 6'7". But if you're below 6 foot and phenomenal,
Yeah, that's a basketball short.
no, this is football. My shirt. This is the Seahawks, the football team.
Oh, okay. I don't know much about sports.
Yeah, well,
Ask me about gender studies. That's a different thing. But
yeah,
let's say,
well, because it's about sports, some of the logistics you have are like that are in sports come to play here. And like I said, a lot of sports is genetic advantage. Like being born and having an aptitude for something shouldn't mean you can't do it. No one, like I said, no one wanted to Michael Phelps not swim in the Olympics.
so So do you think that there should be one division and we just throw all men and women in the same division?
And that's not what I said.
No, but I'm asking you, is that what you think?
No.
Why not?
Honestly, I just haven't given that enough thought. I do think there is, some pros to having two separate divisions for men and women. But like I said, honestly, I haven't.
What are the pros?
Honestly, I haven't given that enough thought to have like a concrete stance on it that I would want to fully stand
That's
behind
fair.
because I haven't done enough research or thought on it.
That's fair.
I think it's interesting. She's so very, very aggressive, but it makes you think, because I don't think it's like the question he just asked is a very good question that could be applied to many other things. It's not about necessarily changing your mind. It's not saying that whatever side that you stand on that you're right or you're wrong. It invokes a thought that says, why am I making the decision that I'm making? Why do I stand on the side that I'm standing? Because if I say that, hey, I can offer you evidence that 100% proves it's a disadvantage, would you change your mind? And they said no, but they are under the belief that there is no disadvantage. So when he originally asked them, that means that their answers were not true.
So you think that there should be two divisions?
As of right now, before I do a lot of thinking about it, but like I said, I haven't put enough thought to it to give you a clear, firm stance.
Okay, so I'm kind of think through this myself. So the reason, and I'm could be totally wrong, I'm just trying to figure this out myself. So the reason that there are two divisions are because there must be certain categories of things that different sexes are better at, or there wouldn't be divisions in the first place, unless it was just like some social convention.
He is walking her down. Let me have him repeat that.
I'm just trying to figure this out myself. So the reason that there are two divisions are because there must be certain categories of things that different sexes are better at, or there wouldn't be divisions in the first place, unless it was just like some social convention.
You're not wrong there.
So is it possible to abstract from that and say that that reason is what confers an advantage on somebody?
No, because you can have advantages over someone who's also the same gender as you, just as a different gender does. Gender is not the only factor that provides an advantage or not. However, it's definitely one that contributes to an advantage you have.
Right. And
Because
right.
There was a trans swimmer in the Olympics. She didn't win. If trans women really have a crazy advantage on women, why didn't she sweep? Why didn't she do
what does sweep mean?
Win everything?
Oh,
Actually,
sweep, like
win all the awards.
oh, I thought you meant for a mop and like sweep up.
No, why didn't she win all the awards? Why didn't she win every race? And why didn't she beat them by seconds? Which is very.
But she did get into the Olympics.
She got into the Olympics. She didn't win, and that's because she's a trained swimmer. That's because she's been trained to swim for as long as everyone else has. So it makes sense she got into the Olympics. She's been swimming at that time for her entire career. But like I said, she didn't sweep. She didn't have such a crazy advantage that she was performing way above the ranks of the women.
Advantages, that wouldn't be enough to move you to agree.
Yeah, because like I said, cis woman could have an advantage on another cis woman. So why should I care if a trans woman has an advantage on a cis woman when a cis woman could also have an advantage on another cis woman? Like the fact that they're trans doesn't really mean anything to me. Like I said, having a genetic advantage can and is a part of sports.
Okay.
Hold on, my computer did something funny. Oh my God. I don't. I'm kind of confused now at the point in her stance because I'm unsure it's almost as if she's only saying what she's saying because she just wants to stand for something, some people's rights or something. It doesn't seem like she's really going off actual facts or something. And I can't really feel her her position, because if her position is correct, then we should just scrap everything that we do currently in sports. It should just be, they should just merge, men and women's sports and just get rid of everything if what she's saying is true.
She's been swimming at that time for her entire career. But like I said, she didn't sweep. She didn't have such a crazy advantage that she was performing way above the ranks of the other women.
So even if it were shown that trans women had distinct advantages, that wouldn't be enough to move you to agree.
Yeah, because like I said, cis woman could have an advantage on another cis woman. So why should I care if a trans woman has an advantage on a cis woman when a cis woman would also have an advantage on another cis woman? Like, the fact that they're trans doesn't really mean anything to me. Like I said, having a genetic advantage can and is a part of sports.
Okay, I think I understand their reasoning, but I'm not positive.
I have a question for them.
Yes.
So do you think that there could be like the women's group, the man group, and then people who are trans have their own category?
Who's the question for? Which one?
Either or.
Yeah, I don't think
I feel like those groups would just alienate them even more, and just like put them off into a separate category because they don't belong in women or male. They are not being put properly into the groups that they identify with.
I don't know anything about sports, as you know, from not even knowing what that means there. The Sea Falcons or whatever. But my question is then, aren't there rules? I thought there were rules against like shooting yourself up with steroids, aren't there?
Yes.
So when you shoot yourself up with steroids, that must mean you have a competitive advantage. So that's why they don't do it, right?
That shooting yourself up with steroids gives you a competitive.
Well, I would assume, or
that's
else
why
there
it's
wouldn't be a
outlawed.
rule against
Yeah.
it.
Yes, there is a rule against using performance enhancing steroids, but I don't think that's on the same level as hormone therapy.
No, that's not where I was going with
No?
it. So
Okay.
no, I was going with it. It's possible that there are certain things that one can do to yield a performance advantage.
Yes.
So shouldn't the idea be, and I'm just thinking through this for myself, shouldn't the idea be that we want to level the playing field to take out advantages for different people?
I think like artificial advantages is what you're trying to say. Like, just yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were waving to some. I thought you were waving to somebody.
Well, first of all, Seahawks. Got a wrap.
Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks.
They're a football
not the
team
Falcons, yes, the
from
Seahawks.
Seattle in Washington.
Yes. Also,
And they play. Who's the
rival.
no, the person who throws the ball.
The QB.
The QB. Who's the QB?
Want to be more about sports before you ask questions about it? No, but okay. To go off her point, I like performance-enhancing drugs are obviously banned. It's because they enhance your performance.
Right.
However, if you have enough money, you can pay a coach to help advance your performance. You know what I mean? Like, there's specific training facilities, there's specific programs that all cost money to access. And by accessing those with money, you also gain an advantage. So it's not like these hormones.
So we
are
should
only,
get.
It's not like because these hormones are only banned because they're performance enhancing. They're also extremely harmful on people's bodies.
So we should give, if that logic holds, we should give all non-trans women extra coaching to make up for the deficiencies.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
I can't believe she compared somebody actually furthering their technique, being able to have money to get the best coach to learn certain techniques that you might not learn if you did not have access to those trainers. And she's comparing that to a biological advantage. That's crazy. It's almost like she'll say anything to get her point across instead of just having an honest conversation. It's not like they're down there voting. They're just having a discussion, discussing things. She doesn't need to be that way.
Furthering showing that there's already a discrepancy in sports. If you're rich and can pay for equipment, training facilities, a training coach, you're gonna do better than someone who can't. And I'm not saying
Like the
I'm not-
Russians and like the Russians in cycling and weightlifting.
Yeah, like most people in the Olympics. Most people in the Olympics have access to really good trainers and really good training. And if everyone in the world had access to that training, I don't think the Olympics would look the same. There'd be a lot of different people in there, but they don't because inequities, like I said, are inherently in sports. They're gonna be in sports no matter what.
Did that convince you?
I kind of forgot what she said.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
And now I can get the other young lady's position. Her position is it's already unfair because you got rich people that got an advantage. So the hell with the whole system. It's already unfair. And so that's her position. And that's why she's on the side that she stands. And I was wondering what I was hearing, and that's what it is. That's her argument. It's already unfair. I don't care. Let them do what they want to do.
So the idea is you can't control. There are always going to be certain people who have advantages, certain people have disadvantages, and I don't want to mischaracterize your argument, but the idea is that. All right, well, you can come to the next one. You go. All right, well, I guess not then. Okay, so the idea then is that if you're born to a rich family, you have certain advantages, and if you're born to a poor family, you'll have disadvantages. So there are already inequities built into the system. So why worry about one more inequity? I think that's what she was saying.
I think the comparison between the like wealth or someone or the advantages that they have are completely different than like people getting things like hormones and stuff like genetically in them versus like being able to pay for a facility or something.
How does it make you feel if you compete against, for example, in lacrosse?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel if you compete against someone born biological male? Do you think it's like you said, I don't want to put words in your mouth. How does it make you feel?
I would think it'd be unfair, especially if that male came from playing men's lacrosse.
Can I ask you what seemed like a really stupid question, but I'm going to ask anyway?
Okay.
What's wrong with it being unfair? Life is unfair. Some people are born with like no legs.
I mean, that's true that life is unfair, but it's like it's the sport of lacrosse, specifically what I'm talking about, where there's the men's and the women's, and a lot of sports are very different men and women wise. And obviously it's not always fair, but it's equally as fair when it's all women versus like the other side being all men versus all men, all women versus all women.
I feel like that is a good question he asked with life being unfair. And life is unfair, but sports isn't necessarily life. And sports still has to have somewhat of a control aspect of it. That's like my son, he's doing wrestling. I mean, they're going to have weight classes. Like in boxing, they're going to have weight classes. You're not just going to have, you still control for it because you try to even that playing field out because you're competing in sports. So you want it to be equal on both sides, so that each person has the same chance to win, so to speak.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, but I'm not sure it makes sense to them. Hi, you just joined.
Well, I have just a quick sentence.
Okay.
They're gonna.
Let's see. What's up, Terrence Grimes, man? How you doing, man? How you doing? You said I don't even know how the trans got that far. You mean as far as playing sports? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to understand it, and I'll go ahead and give my honest opinion until because people still debate about it and stuff. Until people are sure of things, I don't think people should be able to participate. And I know that sounds harsh. But right now there's a guy that was hoping to play college basketball or the NBA. He injured himself, and now he can't play anymore. So just because people want to do something, I don't think they should be able to necessarily do something, especially if we're unsure, and especially if that thing may place other people at a disadvantage. I think and the reason why I'm watching this is not because I don't care if what side you stand on. You know, you got your reason for believing what you want to believe. My thing is, when I watch these conversations, what I look for is consideration from both sides. And only one side, you got the one girl with the backpack on the right standing by herself. She seems to be she's a woman. She's played women's sports, and she doesn't want someone to have an advantage over her, an unfair advantage over her, right? But she's still considerate of other people. And that's very nice of her. But the people on the other side, they also don't want anyone to discount them and their feelings, but they don't seem to be too concerned with people on the other side. And that's what's funny to me about these conversations. Not about people's answers. I don't care about the answers. I can't tell you whether you're right or wrong. I'm not no scientist. I just think it's crazy how some people just want what they want. They don't care if what they want is unfair to other people. And this next person he's about to talk to, they're going to come hot and aggressive. Watch.
Say some things. In response to that, if a girl went to a middle or high school where they didn't have a big sports fund and she played on the male lacrosse team and then transferred to a school that had a girl and then she chose to play on the girls team after playing on the boys team, no one would care. No one would care because she's cis. They only care because she's trans. No one really cares about you playing the man version of a sport if you're a girl and then you play the woman version later. They only care when you're trans.
Yeah.
The transness of this all is really what people get strung up.
If that were to be the case where I played a male sport and then went to a female sport, I did not pump hormones in my body to genetically get me to a better place than playing with males.
Hi. You do know.
Hi.
Hi. You do know that's what birth control is for, right? To pump estrogen.
But a lot of cis women are.
To pump estrogen into your body so that you're actually physically able to do things. And the point of a competitive sport is to be genetically better than the other person. Take the Olympics, for example. There are cis women that are better than other cis women because they are genetically made to be that way. And putting natural hormones in your body, I hope you know that you as a cis woman also has testosterone in your body as well as estrogen and progesterone.
How do you know she's a cis woman?
Are you a cis woman? Okay.
I didn't know that.
I did, I can tell. As a
You have like a gaydar for cis women.
because I'm not a cis woman and I know what cis women look like and act like.
And am I a cis woman?
You're not a cis woman, but if you're a
Correct.
woman, that's okay.
No, I'm a man.
Okay. What are your pronouns?
I need time to think.
All right. No problem. Anyways, sports, that is the entire purpose of competitive sports. And you just trying to justify your transphobia with the fact of being genetically better. What is it?
Who's it?
Personally, I think they should have one league. That's just me, though.
In like
In all sports.
all sport, like a separate category, and anybody
Yeah.
can.
I think there should be like male, female, trans woman, trans man.
So are you? Yeah. Yes, of course.
I do want to say my opinion does not mean I'm transphobic at all.
What does that word even mean? I don't. What does that word even mean? What does that word mean?
What do you mean? What does that word mean?
Well, if she says to you, if I say to you, what is this? And she says a blah, blah, blah. And I say, what do you mean? They give me the definition. So like, what is the definition of transphobia?
Transphobia.
And I apologize for the internet if it breaks down. I don't know what my computer is doing. Do y'all the I guess that the dark skinned person up there is trans, and they came in hot and heavy. The young lady on the other side, she only said that she feels that trans women should not compete in women's sports because as a woman that's a female athlete, she feels like they have an unfair advantage. And that's the part people they talk about, oh, well, everybody has an advantage over somebody. That's true, but we're talking about unfair advantage. And that's all she said. And you have the trans person who wasn't even a part of the conversation. They just come in and call somebody transphobic just for disagreeing with them, not for saying anything hateful, for not threatening them or anything. You just transphobic because you disagree with me. And that's not right. And you sit there and you say things like that in public to people and you think that's okay and you think that's cool. That's not right. That's very disgusting behavior to do that to somebody.
Is when you exclude trans people. Transphobia is when you do not believe that trans people are really the identity they identify with. Transphobia is hatred towards trans people. Transphobia is prejudice against towards trans people. That's what transphobia is. And thinking that trans athletes should not compete with regular athletes in their own separate league is transphobic.
Okay, so do you need all three of those criteria
No,
to be met?
No, you don't. No,
You need
don't.
one.
Yes.
So if I believe, I just want to make sure because you used the term, and it's very important that we're all on the same page.
Mhm.
So if I believe that a person who was born a man who has not had bottoms surgery who got arrested should it's excluding though.
But I don't even know your reason for that.
Well, it's exclude. So I'm trying to figure out what the word transphobe means.
By asking me a completely hypothetical question when I
No, by
gave
asking
you a
you.
definition.
Well, you gave me definition, but it meets the first one, so that would seem under your definition as
Okay.
transphobic. You have a definition.
no,
Okay,
we're
hold
not
on,
using
hold
a
on.
Google definition. Hold on. This pisses me off. We're not using a Google definition.
go.
Hold on. We're not using a Google definition to describe transphobia because this is exactly like when you say white people can't be racist and they pull the definition of racism. And they're like, oh no, but here it says racism is blah 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 blah. Google definition can literally not define something that you literally have spent years studying. Because you're a gender studies major, right? Or
Not a major, no.
Not a major.
I'm one of the world's foremost
World
experts in
leading gender studies.
not leading. I'm in the top 10.
Okay, not leading then.
I gotta get them
Not-
qualifications again.
Google
You
definition.
go.
Hold on.
What's them qualifications?
And thinking that trans athletes should
Oh,
not
here we go.
compete.
My opinion does not mean I'm transphobic at all.
What does that word even mean? What does that word even mean?
And she's so confused because she's like, I didn't say anything mean or wrong or anything. I'm participating like everyone is, and we're just giving our opinions. And you came over there and called her transphobic.
What does that word mean?
What do you mean? What does that word mean?
Well, if she says to you, if I say to you, what is this? And she says a blah, blah, blah. And I say, what do you mean? They give me the definition. So like, what is the definition of transphobia?
Transphobia is when you exclude trans people. Transphobia is when you do not believe that trans people are really the identity they identify with. Transphobia is hatred towards trans people. Transphobia is prejudice against towards trans people. That's what transphobia is. And thinking that trans athletes should not compete with regular athletes in their own separate league is transphobic.
Okay, so do you need all three of those criteria to be met?
No, you don't. No,
You need
don't.
one.
Yes.
So if I believe, I just want to make sure because you used the term, and it's very important that we're all on the same page.
Mhm.
So if I believe that a person who was born a man who has not had bottom surgery, who got arrested, should go into a woman's prison, who should not go into a woman's prison? Am I a transphobe?
That is a completely different question, and I don't even know your reason.
But it's
for,
excluding though.
But I don't even know your reason for that.
Well, it's exclude. So I'm trying to figure out what the word transphobe means.
By asking me a completely hypothetical question when I
No, by
gave
asking
your
you.
definition.
Well, you gave me definition, but it meets the first one, so that would seem under your definition as
Okay.
transphobic. You have a definition.
No,
Okay,
we're not
hold on,
using
hold
a
on.
Google
on.
definition. Hold on. This pisses me off. We're not using a Google
You
definition.
go.
Hold on. We're not using a Google definition to describe transphobia, because this is exactly like when you say white people can't be racist and they pull the definition of racism and they're like, oh no, but here it says racism is blah 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 blah. Google definition can literally not define something that you literally have spent years studying. Because you're a gender studies major, right? Or
Not a major, no.
Not a major.
I'm one of the world's foremost
World's
experts
leading
in
gender studies.
not leading. I'm in the top 10.
Okay, not leading then.
So we can't trust Google, but we can trust her word. Okay, makes sense.
You're not a leading world gender studies, just a gender studies.
And look to the young lady on the right with the little stripes and stuff. She's so sweet. She's just over there because she's not trying to make anybody angry. And when I was first originally listening to her being over there makes total sense to me now, because I understand she does not want to this girl right here, she does not want to go through somebody calling her transphobic, putting her in a box, making her seem like she's hateful. And so it seems like she's just over there. She just don't want to get attacked.
But that proves that you've literally studied this. Like, this is a field that can be studied.
Not only have I studied it, I've
Yes, I know.
outpublished virtually everybody in my field
Yeah,
in a
but not
10-month
leading.
period.
Yeah, but
True, not
leading.
that's true. That's a fact. That's in fact.
So,
Thank you.
but hold on. But that just shows you. So, you've spent a lot of your lifetime studying this field. Yes.
No, about 3 years.
Okay, but you spent multiple years studying this field.
Yes.
Would you say it's a complex field?
Yes and no.
So you published multiple pieces of literature on it. Obviously, it's not a one done thing. If I could just go onto Google and Google a bunch of different definitions, then what's the point of studying something? The point of studying something is because it's nuanced, because it's rooted in a lot of history. Google Translate, Webster Dictionary
Is it falsifiable?
That's not my point right now. That's not my point right now. My point right now is that you cannot take a cumulative history of a nuanced topic and put it into one sentence in Webster Dictionary.
Google Dictionary, I thought.
Google uses Webster.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm going to speak to these two directly.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Oh, shout out Arden Perry 100. I understand that people want to be included, and I feel for them, but we know that women and men are not built the same. Women don't have the physical ability that men have. We're made different. Thank you for that. And I do agree. I don't know. They have some soccer team. It's like a professional women's soccer team, and they go and compete and practice against the high school boys, and they lose all the time. And these are like professionally trained women. So yeah, that is a good point. But my thing is, this is just the easy conversation that they're having. I don't understand why they're being so mean and hurling insults at those two young ladies that disagree with them. They're just being so nasty. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I called you a transphobe. I meant it. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's an underlying bias towards trans people that you really need to work on. And I'm not saying.
What is that?
What is an underlying bias?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I mean exactly what I said, that she has an underlying bias. It's not very difficult to understand.
Okay, pretend I'm stupid. What does it mean? Like, so when I say I have when someone says they have an underlying bias, that could mean a subconscious bias. It could mean that they don't act like, what does that mean?
Okay. I thought I was supposed to pretend that you're stupid. Okay,
Well,
here we
in
go.
other words, explain it in a way that is crystal clear so that anybody watching this will
Alright.
understand.
Listen to how this person is talking to him. But this is a group of people that if you just disagree with them, you're transphobic and you're hateful. But this person is not hateful, but they can be disrespectful, rude, call people names like that. You see that? I just don't think oppressed people think that way. I think that a very protected group of people act that way. That's insane.
Okay.
Because we have people watching this of all ages, all everything, who are trying to figure this out for themselves.
Wait,
All right.
I have a question. What the fuck is the point of this? Like, what is the goal of this?
What is the goal of what?
Yeah, what's the goal of this? Of us talking? Like what is your goal in doing all of this?
You're on the lines that you should be on the basis of the reasons you have.
So you don't even care about like adding to the narrative, understanding social consciousness, or like social feelings towards this question. You just want to know if we get the facts straight enough to be on the correct line.
No, it has nothing to do with fact. Well, it's a little to do with fact, but doesn't really have to do with facts. It has to do with reasoning.
So you're just curious on individual reasoning.
I'm curious to know. So let's say, for example, I was standing here in the neutral, and I heard these reasons, and I heard this reasons, and let's just say, to the best extent possible, I'm sincere, I'm honest, I try to think for myself. I'm not really well read, but I'm a little well read. I listen to what you have to say. I listen to what they have to say. Where should I go? I have no dog in the fight. I'm trying to figure out what's true.
Us trying to convince each other, like, what is your goal? Because right now, because I don't know what you're adding to like the social.
He literally just explained very well what his goal was, and she literally just asked it again because the only thing she cares about is that everyone agrees with her. That's all she cares about.
Absolutely
Okay,
nothing. I'm adding
So-
nothing.
So then, why are you like? Because like this question just opens up the floor for like transphobic people to spread transphobic rhetoric. So like, why would you do that? Like, what is the point of this? Why would you risk adding transphobia to the world when like you just like didn't need to?
So do you think these questions are better off not talked about?
No, I think they should be better facilitated.
What could I do to facilitate the question better?
Well, have a clearer goal in mind. Like I've asked you, like, what's your goal? Your goal is just nothing. Like, no one's gonna convince a transphobic person that trans women should be able to compete in sports. If they were gonna be convinced of that, they were should have already been convinced by that. It's been a big topic. Clearly, I'm not gonna change my mind because I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, like let me be transphobic real quick. Like, you don't have a good goal.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you convinced that her definition of transphobia is like to say that the exclusion thing was the thing that got me?
Like if her definition of transphobia is correct.
No, and it can be anything anybody wants it to be. It can be a pastrami sandwiches if someone wants it to be.
I feel like. Could you rephrase your question?
Yeah, so she gave three
It
criteria.
could be a pastrami sandwich if someone wanted it to be.
Anybody can define anything the way they want to define it.
Anyone could.
No,
They can't define anything they
you
want
can't
to.
just define it as a pastrami sandwich. That's a joke. Like that's literally a joke. Like I'm sorry, that's a joke. You can have-
Anybody can define anything the way they want it. There's no.
No, that's not how words work. Words have meaning.
But she tried to look it up in Google, and you told her that wasn't how to adjudicate the meanings of words.
My point in that was that Google definitions cannot adequately describe and explain such a nuanced topic. I didn't say it can't be defined. I just said that Google definitions wasn't gonna have a.
Who does give the right definition then? Who like which definition is correct? How
No,
can
but-
we?
Hold on. And I don't think there's ever the most concrete definitions when it comes to nuanced topics. However, you can't just be defining words however you want. And you know that for a fact. There colloquially things mean things. And colloquially, we all know what that shit means. You cannot describe it as a pastrami sandwich. There is very clear parameters that you can work within. You might disagree on specific nuances, but the overall, like you can't just describe anything as anything. Words have meaning for a reason.
Like man and woman.
Yeah, trans women are women. Like I don't see. You keep trying to get people like, caught up. What is your point? Like, what is your point? Like, this is kind of a joke because you could just said,
I know your point. You just want to try to catch us in a contradiction,
No,
and you
literally.
have literally no reason to be doing this whatsoever.
yeah,
You're trying to prove a gotcha. Ooh, you have no idea what you're talking about, silly liberals and your silly trans people, instead of just not being a dick.
I know you guys are like, what's the point of it? My point for coming over here and participating in this is because I'm very open-minded and I like hearing other people's points of views, and I'm not very I don't just shut people down when they have an opinion and start calling them names. I'm not here to promote transphobia at all. That does not say, are you transphobic or not? In no way am I transphobic. I'm just stating my opinion, trying to have an equally conversation of a debate where we can just say how we feel and move on with our lives. I don't think anyone should be attacking anyone.
Did you agree with what she said?
Oh, absolutely.
You want to add, or if not, that's okay too.
No, but I think people's emotions get really heightened during topics like this. That's all I have.
Just because emotions are heightened doesn't mean points shouldn't be listened to, because I see both of you. None of you are listening to our points. You're turning to each other, you're whispering, you're laughing, and I see both of you. Don't make that face, because I literally see what you're doing. I'm not an idiot. And second of all, I can probably just describe transphobia because
Do
it's,
you not agree with her definition?
oh, I completely agree. Just adding to it. So transphobia is systemic. There is a system set in place to put trans people down, to kill them, to put them in prison, and to completely eradicate them. And in your agreeing or in your disagreement with trans women not being able to compete in women's sports is boosting that systemic idealism. And when I say that you're a transphobe, that's something in yourself that you do need to work on, because that
Can you
is
define
underlying.
that? Can you define that?
What underlying?
No, that I got from what you said. I thought your explanation.
Shout out Paul Lombardo. He says, you are an idiot. Who, me or the people on the video? Paul Lombardo, good. I don't know. Oh, he says I identify as a woman. Let's box. Oh, the video. Oh my God, I feel good. Oh man. Oh, okay, it makes sense. It's all come through now, Paul. I didn't know. I didn't think you were talking about me, but I have to ask. I have to ask just in case. I didn't think you were. That's why I read it the way I read it. But you said I identify as a woman. Let's box. Not you, bro. Ha ha ha. Yeah, shout out to you. Yeah, and I think that's the point of this conversation, is because like he said, it's just an experiment about reasoning. He's just talking to college kids and just seeing, how do you think? And I think this points to the fact that a lot of them, they just don't want to think. They think it's some ulterior motive. Nobody on this video has any power to change anything in anybody's lives. It's just a simple conversation. And they're just saying things. And she said there's a system in place. There is no system in place that just there's no system in place to oppress trans people. I think there's a lack of a system that takes care of them, maybe because maybe people didn't consider them before, so there's nothing in place to take care of them people, but to say that there's a system in place that is punching down, trying to destroy these people, that's taking a little too far. That's that's not it's not, it's just not. If people don't know you there and people don't understand you or even know that you're there, they could have not put a system in place for you, because all this is still very new. Just in case what? Shout out Cody Chandler says just in case what? I'm confused. I don't know what you mean by that. Paul Lombardo says it's all good, man. This topic is crazy. They want to believe that there is this magic system that promotes it. Yeah, I think it's all interesting. I don't know. I think it's still very new. I could not make a decision. I would still be standing on the neutral line, to be honest with you.
This was excellent. A transphobe, because I got her definition. What's yours?
Transphobe is what I said. So transphobe is someone that is adding to a system to put other trans individuals down, whether it be conscious or unconscious. There's some sort of bias that you definitely do need to work through and actually listen to something we're saying. It doesn't matter if we're getting heightened in emotion because we're passionate about something. That should make you want to listen more, and it shouldn't make you want to smirk and act like, oh my goodness, you contradicted yourself, la 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 la.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you strongly agree. You're cheating, you're off the line, but that's okay. You're strongly agree and you're strongly agree. What would it take you to move to the agree line? Let me go for, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 because I haven't.
You asked me this already, and I told you nothing.
Okay. What would it take you to move to the agree line?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Would you say absolutely nothing or
Yeah,
nothing?
absolutely nothing.
I just said what I had to say.
Okay.
I would be willing to revise my opinion with, new information that comes out, new studies, new statistics saying if there is actually a true advantage that trans women have over cis women in sports. But as of right now, there's nothing that is prominent, like as in what we know, that would change my position right now.
Why do you think you should be the one to facilitate this conversation when you don't even care about sports?
I know nothing about
Yeah,
sports.
so you don't care about sports. So why?
Well, that's not
Like, do you-
entirely
do you
true.
care about trans women and trans
Well, wait a
women's
second.
rights?
Let me answer your question first. I actually happen to know a lot about one sport, but it's a very fringe sport.
But you don't care about sports.
Yes, Paul Lombardo says there it is again. And just the immature disrespect, too much one-sided thinking. Yeah, very, very one-sided thinking. They're trying to win a debate rather than just have a simple conversation. Nobody, and I think he's purposely he's lowered his tone. He's trying to be as calm as possible as to not trigger anyone, and it's not helping. They're very upset, and they're just hurling insults for no reason. The ladies on the other side, they haven't said one thing. They've been considerate. They've said that they're willing to move from their line and agree if they're presented evidence and everything. And those two are still just, they're in attack mode.
Sports.
Correct. I don't care about any
So do
sports
you-
with a ball.
Do you care about trans women?
What do you mean?
Do you care about trans women and trans women issues? And
What,
protecting-
give me any,
and-
like, what do you mean?
and protecting trans women. What do you mean? What do I mean? Answer. It's a straightforward question. Do you?
That's actually not a
Yeah.
straightforward question.
Do you care about trans women? Do you care about the issues they face? Do you care about being a good ally to trans women? Do you care about trans women?
I was up with you until you used the word ally. I care about so the answer to the first question is yes. And the answer
But
to
you're
the
not an ally
second
to
question,
trans women.
it depends what you mean.
It depends on what I mean by ally.
Yes.
What do you think ally means? As someone who's I'm not a leading top, so maybe you don't know what ally means, but someone in the field, what do you think ally
Okay.
means?
So let me just say, often we use words that we think we know what other
I
people
know
mean
what
by
the
them.
word ally means. I'm asking
Right.
ally
Right.
because allies, an easy word to understand. Ally means
At your biblical age, are you really
55.
biblical? Are you telling
What do you
me
mean biblical?
it means you're older than the Bible? Do you really not know what
Uh-huh.
ally means?
Not that old.
Do you really not know what ally means?
It depends what you mean. If you mean different people mean different things by ally.
okay,
And as you can see, this person can age shame, make fun of his age, but if he says something to them, now he's transphobic. But this person can keep on hurling insults and everything, and it's perfectly fine.
come back to me.
Like, it doesn't
So,
mean
no,
somebody
no, I'm
willing
asking
to.
you-
Yeah.
I'm asking you, what do you think? Like, what's your definition of ally?
Okay.
What? No,
I'm
answer
more
my
than happy.
question.
Yes, I will
Answer my
answer that question. Let me we'll go back to the claim. You have my word. I will answer that question. So I'm just going to wrap up. You have my word. So you guys, there's nothing to get you to change your mind, and absolutely nothing. I want to make sure clear. Is there anything that would get you two to move to the slightly, either to the strongly disagree or to the slightly disagree? Like, is there any piece of evidence that you would have to hear or reason or argument?
I think I would definitely be open to change my opinion or even just hearing other people out.
So what would it look like for you to move to, you have to play by the rules of the game, which means you have to stand on a line. Yeah. So what would it take for you to move to the slightly disagree? Evidence, reason, data, like what would that look like?
I'm not sure, but I would like to note that I think for a trans woman to compete in women's sports, she has a biological advantage. And then for a trans man to compete in men's sports, she has a biological disadvantage. So I'm just want to make that point that I do think that's something to consider. And I don't agree with attacking people personally, whether it's that he's old or that I'm sitting here smiling. I don't think that anything to do with this conversation has to do with how you treat other people. And if you're going to sit here and say you accept all people, then you need to sit here and accept all people.
I did not say I accept all people. I don't accept bigots. I don't accept racists. I
Old
don't,
people.
Yeah, old people like you because you're an ass. I accept older people who are open-minded, like my parents, per se, who are actually old.
Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I know Paul Lombardo put that in there. Wow. Sean Franklin says he'll fix all of this. Look, man versus women in sports. Fixed it for you. That would be a fun day in sports. That would be a fun day in sports. They do that in wrestling sometimes. And when I played soccer, they had girls on the team in soccer. They do it every day. Maybe like one or two girls. Paul Lombardo says this isn't acceptable behavior. They are right and everyone else is wrong. Sean Franklin, Paul Lombardo, he agrees with you. Paul says, sweet baby Jesus. I can't believe that she thinks it's okay to sit there and call someone an ass and they're this man ain't disrespected. I don't want to misgender this person. This person, they have not the guy Peter has not disrespected this person at one time, and they've just been allowed to insult. All I would say is this: I hope that person doesn't do that to everyone, because there are people in this world that will not allow you to insult and disrespect them in their face like that. So I hope that they don't think that behavior is going to go over well everywhere else in the world. Paul, you're right. Yeah, he's just talking calmly.
Older than you. And I accept people who are willing to actually open their minds up.
Open-minded. Okay.
So you accept you're accepting of people who are willing to open their minds, but yet you are not willing to open your mind for evidence that would take you to go to the agree line.
I'm not willing to open my mind to be a bigoted piece of shit. No.
Anyone who does not have the same opinion as you is a bigoted.
Trans women should not be able to compete in women's sports has transphobic beliefs. Point blank, period. Trans women are women. Therefore, they compete in women's sports. Like, that's really just like the end of conversation. Like, there's really no like, oh, but like, you know, like the boys and then the girls and the testosterone. No, like it's all based in transphobia.
She doesn't really believe this. She just wants to fight about something, honestly. I can tell. She doesn't believe anything she's saying. She just wants to argue about something.
So it's not about like me believing in facts. It's not about me listening to the research. It's literally just called like, I'm saying this line because I refuse to be transphobic. Also, you never answered the question.
Yeah, I promised you I would at the end. I promise you have my word, but I just, because if I do this, we're going to rabbit hole. I promise you the moment this is over, you have my word.
I want to talk to you about biology.
Who, them?
Yes, these two.
Think through it.
No, I will not take that blatant disrespect. Absolutely not. You want to bring up biology, right? I hope you know there's more than just XX and XY chromosome variations. There are XXXY, there are XXY, and actually a Black woman who is biologically female has an XXXY chromosome.
Paul says, imagine dating a train wreck. exactly. She's drunk. She might be drunk, but I do want to take it back. Cody Chandler says their parents are probably so proud. I know, right? I want to take it back to what she said. This is very interesting to me. This is the most interesting thing I've heard in this video. And I apologize. My computer been acting funny and silly. Let's see.
You want to bring up biology, right? I hope you know there's more than just XX and XY.
No,
It's like
where?
the end of conversation. Like there's really no
Here we
like,
go. Hold on.
oh, but like, you know, like the boy. So it's not about like me believing in facts. It's not about me listening to the research. It's literally just called like I'm saying this line because I refuse to be transphobic. Also, you never answered my question.
I promised you I
No,
would at the end.
answer it.
I promise you have my
Why
word,
not
but I
right
just
now?
because if I do this, we're gonna wrap it up. I promise you, the moment this is over, you have my word.
I want to talk to you about biology.
Who them?
Yes, these two, the one that's on her phone and not actually paying attention to me because she doesn't respect me.
That part right there. The person who's been disrespectful to everyone is saying that person that's on their phone because they don't respect me. What do you know about respect? You've been disrespecting everybody. You're calling another grown man an ass to his face, and that's how you speak to people? Oh my God.
Speak through it.
So, no, because I deserve to be respected and paid attention to. No, I will not take that blatant disrespect. Absolutely not. You want to bring up biology, right? I hope you know there's more than just XX and XY chromosome variations. There are XXXY, there are XXY, and actually, a Black woman who is biologically female has XXXY chromosomes and then was banned from playing sports in the women's category. Although
Which sport?
it was track and field. Although
Thank
she is a cisgender woman born with anatomically female bodily organs, she was said that there was a biological advantage. So are you saying that anyone born with a different chromosomal variation, even though they are cis, are not allowed to compete in sports either?
I'm gonna ask you.
Wait, no, go to the she asked him the rest question.
Wait, what's it? What's it? What's it? What's it?
No,
Oh,
she asked
well,
him
who?
the
Where did you come from? Who are you?
Ask him the question.
Wait a second. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where did the woman who was right there stand?
Ask him the question. She had to go. Go answer the question. I'm next.
Oh, we are?
That's so convenient.
It is. Well, talk to your school. Talk to your school. They're making us
I
leave.
actually don't
Talk
want
to
this
her right there.
I actually don't want this to come back. So
Okay.
I will not be speaking
All right.
about this. Because like I said, this is a joke. You don't care about trans women. You don't-
Okay, well,
you
we're
don't
being
care-
asked to wrap up. We have
because
to
you
wrap
don't care
up.
about sports.
We have to wrap up.
I just keep talking a little bit further. I can just keep talking into the open.
You can. I can't. This is your. I didn't want this to end. This is the boss.
Taken off, please.
This is the boss.
And
Yes. College is failing these kids. They do not know how to just talk to each other without insulting each other. And this is why I can see why nothing with the way that which they identified as trans, the way that person that's trans was talking, the only thing that's ever going to happen is a fight is going to break out. That's the only thing that's ever going to happen. Somebody out there, you can see why people don't get along. Because you got this one side, this one group. It's funny, the side that says that you should accept everybody is the least accepting of everybody else. That's crazy. What time is it? Anywho, that is the show for today. I just wanted to come on here and highlight that. Paul says ironic as hell. Yes, it's very ironic. And that was the whole point of the show today, to highlight why you honestly you can't argue or have discussions with dishonest people. They have no intention of reaching any type of solution at all. They're always going to be that way. Either you agree with them or you're hateful. Okay? You don't agree. you're racist, what she say, racist, bigot, you're a transphobe, homophobe, all that, just by simply saying, hey, when it comes to sports, I feel that you have an unfair advantage. That's it. That's all. That's all they're saying. And somehow that person is hateful just for that. Excuse me for coughing in the mic. Todd does says, and most aggressive too. Yep, the most aggressive. Like the way she was talking to that man, like you cannot talk to people like that on the streets. She in that man face calling him an ass and everything. I'm like, that's how you talk to people. Somebody like, I hope they careful because everybody ain't gonna let you get away with that. Everybody's not gonna let you get away with that. Shout out to Paul. I appreciate you, man. Good show. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Anybody I'm watching too. I don't ask for no money or nothing like that. Just if you smash the like button, I would most appreciate it. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. Shout out D and I don't know, D and so I don't know how to say that. I might do that. I don't know how to say that, but shout out to you. Paul says crazy and sad. It is very crazy and sad. It's based in facts. They don't care about the facts. And they don't make sense. They make sandwiches. Paul says she want all the smoke. She did, man. She was crazy. She didn't even give people a fair chance because she wasn't even standing over there. She came over there in the middle of the conversation, just firing shots at people. I'm not even sure, unless she was maybe listening off on the side and heard something, maybe, but she was just firing off shots. It made no sense to me. Ty says, like arguing with a degenerate child. Yeah, these women sabotaging their own sports by accepting trans to enter. And I think that's what it boils down to. It's like you can't cater to one side and then ignore the fact that you may be disadvantaging the other side. And I think that it is best to just be able to have conversations and reasoning, because sometimes, here's the thing, if you know how to talk to people could disagree with you originally, but if you know how to talk to them and not be disrespectful, you would get more people on your side, perhaps. That's just a thought. What they say, you catch more flies with honey? That's just a thought. So even if your goal is to get people on your side and stop people from being transphobic, surely cursing at them and being mean is not going to get them on your side. So you're not helping yourself out anyway. Yo, what's up, DNS? Paul, right? Yep, just unmoving. Right, Paul, right. A little decorum goes a long way. I've got more out of life just by being nice. Oh, that was a bar. Yep, I got more out of life just being nice. Shout out Fred Parton. That's what I'm talking about, bruh. Speak on it. All right, man. Thank you for coming through. Paul said it's free. Yep, it is. It's free. It don't cost nothing to be nice to people and to treat them with respect. And you know what's so funny about this experiment? The person conducting it, let's just say his goal was that he doesn't believe trans women should compete in women's sports. He never has to present his argument because they're going to come over there with all their rude, bad attitude, cursing. They're going to push everybody away from them anyway. You would never have to fight against them anyway. They're going to turn everybody off anyway. I wouldn't have to say anything. You're going to come over here with your bad attitude and you're going to chase people off. And I never have to present an argument against you at all. All I got to do is say, you run your foul little mouth, making fun of the dude, calling him old. She doesn't know him. Clearly, she wasn't raised with any manners, because if you really think he's old, I know your parents didn't man, I don't know. Some people parents do teach them things like that. I don't know, but I don't think your parents would agree with seeing you making fun of somebody's age, calling a grown man an ass, and he's literally talking calmly, peacefully, and hasn't disrespected you not one time. Paul says, being disrespectful can cost you everything. Yes, it can. Oh my God. Well, that's the end of the show. I appreciate everybody coming through. I will be on later on tonight. I'm going to end the show because I got to go run some real quickly. Thank y'all for coming through. Of love and relationships to the nuances of religion and politics and even crime. We'll delve into the choices we make and what drives us. I don't label people as good or bad. Instead, I focus on behaviors that can lead us down a risky path. Thank you for joining me as we uncover the motivations behind our actions and examine the intriguing aspects of human nature. And that's what this video was all about. Seeing if people know how to reason and just speak and have a simple conversation with each other. And we saw from the video, not the easiest thing to do. Shout out to you all. Shout out to you, Paul. Thank you for coming through. Paul Lombardo, Fred Parton, DNS. I apologize. I didn't know how to say your name. Shout out to Todd. Thank you for coming through. Everybody in the chat, Cody Chandler, appreciate you for getting there. Sean Franklin, and I hope I'm not leaving anyone else out. Terrence Grimes, appreciate you. Arden Perry 100, appreciate you as well. Thank y'all for coming through, stopping by, having a conversation with me in the chat. Take care. If anybody's on later on tonight, I'll see y'all later. Catch y'all later.
Risky behavior.